Hey, and welcome to this Victory and Glory Napoleon gameplay video. If you love the Napoleonic era, then don't miss a minute of what's coming up. Well, hey, welcome. Welcome back to Victory and Glory Napoleon. Well, it's time to jump in here, but if this is the first time you've watched, and well, one, you ought to go back and watch this from the start. But otherwise, you need to understand that I've got a little problem here. I actually recorded this and the previous video without an audio track, or at least not a commentary track, a little technical difficulty. I didn't realize until I'd recorded two videos. And normally I'd just start the game over, but in this case, this game has actually been so fascinating that I just couldn't bring myself to do that. So what we're going to do is I've got this thing queued up to playback. I'm just going to kind of talk about what's happened, and we'll watch the game go along. It's got in-game sounds, and that way we'll keep the continuity of the series. And I promise I will make sure that the next video won't have this problem. It has been informative in some ways. I think I'll be able to improve my game videos a bit because I very seldom sit down and watch them from beginning to end. And I've noticed some things about what I do that need to be improved. So I guess there's a silver lining here. So I'm going to go ahead and push this button here. There's the space bar. Yes, that it's off and running. And we'll get this rolling. And while the initial chatting that I would have normally done happens, I say, if you're enjoying this, and it's just boy, I need more coffee this morning. If you've been enjoying this, then hit that subscription button and the bell notification, and like and share, and especially leave a comment. I very seldom get comments on some of these historical games I do, and I get a lot more comments on the cold water stuff. That seems to drive more enthusiasm. But the truth is, this is where my heart is this historical simulations, and I'd love to have a conversation with you. Okay, so let's go ahead and hit that again. All right, I'm going to pause here. We're going to review the situation. We have 3 political points, which I think we gained by forcing not Austria, Prussia to go neutral. And Great Britain has 0. I mean, look at this. We are really in good shape diplomatically. Russia's out for 6 turns. Prussia's out for 6 turns. Spain's got a very high rating. Russia's very high. Prussia's not so high, but they're 6 turns away from worrying about it. And uh, Austria, and I can't think of what I'm trying to say here, is at a 4, and we could hold them there for a while. Now, Great Britain will get political points, and they'll make it more challenging. But the trick now is going to be to make this peace last as long as possible while we build our strength for the inevitable onslaught that will come, almost certainly from Austria. So we don't want to do anything to provide political points to Great Britain, and we need to just consolidate our position and wait for the next round of war that's bound to come. And I think here shortly we'll see the victory point advantage that we have that we need to try to sit on for as long as possible. So let's go ahead and let this rip. And I'm sure this is me chatting about just what I just said. All right, the other thing to see is that the British Army in Denmark needs to be dealt with, and we go do that here shortly. There's 3 activations left, and I'm certain that I make sure that this thing's still running. Yep, it is. I'm certain that because I remember that we go after those guys. One of the great advantages that the AI has is the British Army being able to uh, land anywhere. You just can't challenge British naval superiority. I played this a bit before I started recording videos, and I actually invested some effort into doing that just to see what would happen. And it's not fun. You just get spanked. You just need to recognize that we're gonna be sanding here. on the continent. Okay, so we're consolidating. I think that's Devoe's army, and getting ready for later turns. You can see that the Austrians have built a quality army. They've done their military reforms, and the days of just beating them like redheaded stepchildren are over. We want to avoid fighting them if we can. Now, I think I end up using a force march here. I don't remember why I haven't done the heavy cavalry thing. Uh, that army is just full of allies and really pathetic infantry. It's going to be very important to build French line infantry as we move on with the game, which we have like 8 years left. You got to last till 1815. Um, and, all these Allied infantries or I should say Allied troops are important so that we can have standing armies here and there, but using them to stand up to a major power now that they've done their military reforms would be well, we're gonna get torn up. It'd be really grim. I think I'm doing the cavalry thing now. That's right. I'm trying to decide where I want that heavy cavalry. If I recall correctly, I don't recall where I did it at all. Let's find out. The trick here is that you don't want to. There we go. We did it down south with Messina. You don't want to have an army without light cavalry. It's important to scouting. It's important to your ability to retreat or to prevent the other guy from retreating. All right. Now we're going to go get the British and to my favorite part of the game, which is tactical battles. All right, and this is really pathetic for them. We're really running down a tiny army. It's just big enough for this not to be a minor battle. The trick here, and I don't recall how this breaks down, but the trick here will be to get out of this without losing anything. Every line infantry unit you lose is just a sad day for the French. And go ahead, grab you some cavalry. Okay, watching myself do this is really kind of frustrating. Maybe I should hire somebody that knows what they're doing to do this part. Okay, no, we're not going to use that card. And the left is clearly where we want to go. Or excuse me. Ooh, I got it a little loud for me today. Let's turn that down. And he gets his free shot, and there you go. How disaster. I mean, we're pursuing a broken enemy, and we lose infantry to a light artillery shot at distance. That's just bad luck. All right, go ahead. The interface in this game is a bit clunky. I've said that over and over again. How does that work out? I don't recall. As usual, my cavalry charges are mixed bag. The AI can shoot a crummy infantry or crummy artillery unit from across the world and kill me. My incredibly superior cavalry cannot run off some light cavalry. But that's okay. You know, I'm not complaining. Well, maybe. Paybacks? Yes. All right, we've got to break one of these. Got to break one of these sectors. Now he gets his shots. And I think I said before, the reason to move somebody in the center is to keep him from being able to shift to one flank or the other. If you want to break a flank, you've got to tie him up in the center. Or then you've got to close on them. So you've got to pick which flank you're going to close on. I have made attacks across the board before. All right, this may be it. I don't remember how this breaks down. I know we win. There we go. And that's it. Now, I probably could have fought him in the center and tried to kill more guys, but pursuit's where you get the real kills. With 7 hits. 7 hits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. And somehow or another, 1, 2, 3. Let's pause that for a moment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and a leader. Unfortunately, we lost. This is more important to us than that. This is to them, believe me, in the long run. But this was necessary. That these guys needed to be cleared out to put off the day when well, we get to draw some cards to put off the day when we have to deal with the British as a significant power again. All right. Now I'm beginning to think I don't remember what happens here, but it's basically we got to get ready for the extended, hopefully extended peace on the continent, which means moving Napoleon back into a central position and working the diplomacy as best we can. And again, not upsetting any of this, not playing any of those cards that give the British political points, because we don't want a fight right now. And somewhere along the line here, I think I'm bound to hit the scroll, which will tell us there it is. Pause this just momentarily. You can see that we have 22 regions under control. We've won 8 battles, 1 major event achieved, which I think must be Tilsit, if I had a guess. We've defeated 2 major nations, which would be Austria and Prussia. No major nation is at war with France except for England, which is permanently at war with us. Basically, we've left the English with Portuguese independence and walked away. Now, I played this game a few times before I started this video series. I am impressed. Now, I won't pat myself on the back too much because the game is driven so much by the available event cards. But I think this is an enviable position for the French. Um, and we're going to have to use that handful of political points we have to hold the Austrians out for at least the next 6 months, maybe, well, effectively, well, it'll be 6 months, at least till the middle of 1808 or later if we can find a way. And in the meantime, consolidate ourselves and position ourselves so that when the Austrians do eventually flop back and decide that they've got to have a shot at us, that we can beat them down and hopefully beat them down before the British can turn another major power against us. I just don't see that this early in the game we can deal with a war with 2 major continental powers. So let's go ahead and turn this loose. And off we go while I do some house cleaning and keeping and figuring out what's up. Let's see. Right. That is a good card for us because it doesn't upset anybody if we have people who are in position. But we got to have French troops, which we don't. So we start working our way through the game. And at this point, there's not much to say. I think I've chattered on and on and on. Here comes Napoleon. Got to get back into a central position where he can strike at any moves that the Austrians make. Won't be recruiting any kind of German troops anytime soon. They're too upset with us. We could still, if we had the cards, recruit Italian troops. But really, we need to get another class of French troops and begin building up a second decent French army. Right now, there's only really one really good French army, and that's the one under Napoleon. We got to get a second one that is has at least enough French line troops to go through a couple of rounds of battle. And it would be nice to draw some cards. There's a Berthier card, which uh, basically, so I was talking about, Berthier's staff work, which allows Napoleon to command an army of 25. Uh, the Allies have similar cards, and I've seen multiple armies as big as 30. And again, that's where I find myself saying, you know what you got going here? You've got a roguelike. This thing's going to play until it beats you, unless you can make it to 1815 with a point advantage. In the meantime, really, you're fending off what started as inferior um, armies and will become here. They've already become equivalent armies in terms of quality and in terms of size. They just grow outrageously, just outrageously. All right, we're going to go get that recruiting and select the region. And again, we get two really, pathetic infantry units, but we take what we can get. And we can get this artillery down here, some heavy artillery to give that army a little bit more backbone. And we just won't be doing crazy things like creating the Kingdom of Northern Italy, which had just thinned the Austrians. And I repeat myself over and over again. We have to. This game has now become, and will be for some turns, a purely political one while we consolidate ourselves. Okay. Oh, it's a tough card. This is a difficult decision, but I think I decided to pick skirmishers because it's just an outstanding thing to have. The guard doesn't play much, or at least I don't play them much. Uh, and I think we may have another opportunity to build more of those wonderful, wonderful infantry, guard infantry units. Skirmishers, on the other hand, are just beautiful. When they attack, they disrupt their opponent, which is just a great advantage. Yeah, however, they tend to die left and right like everything else. So I don't know. I might have made a bad decision there. It might have been a better idea just to go ahead and build more guard infantry. And moving ahead, who knows? Perhaps I will. Okay, the British have political points. Things are fixing to happen from that point of view. January, February. I think we end up. Yeah, there we go. I think there's just not much we can do. We want to do that, consolidate and move on. Okay, now the British are beginning to work, and they've got them in a position where now you see with them at 2, there's a 5% chance that they will. All right, we get 4 new units here. There's a 5% chance that they will go to war. We want to keep them. We want to keep them at neutral, obviously. All right, let's see. 2, 3, 4. I've decided that I need line infantry. Go figure. And the British are starting to build, including naval squadrons, which I hope we'll never have to deal with. The Ottomans are kind of odd. They don't do much unless you get the card that puts them at war with Russia. I think, if I remember right, okay, here we are spending political points, saying, "Yep, let's force Great Britain to focus on Austria only." But that the Ottomans, you can play a card that where they will declare war on Russia. There's a political cost to it, but I could see doing that if we ended up with a situation where the Austrians and the Russians were at war with us simultaneously. Fortunately, the Russians are really pretty happy being neutral right now. And if we don't give the British any additional resources, and political resources, I hope they can stay that way. I can live with with the Austrians getting upset with us now and then. But then again, I don't know the full range of cards available to the Allies, and for all I know, he may be able to set somebody at our throat with a card. So we'll see. This is playing the game as I understand it right now. And I'm waving my cursor around. I'm sure I'm holding forth at some high level of gamer intelligence here, or maybe I just like seeing the. All right, what do we do here? I might just like seeing movement on the screen. Examining our cards. You can play that consolidate the empire if you move nothing. Force march or horse artillery. Horse artillery is killer. Fire twice when they attack. It's wonderful. I think I picked force march though because it's good to have Napoleon being able to strike over a wide area. And evil British fleets are moving all over the place. And a new French turn. Again, now we've got British has no political. This is wonderful. I don't know how many political points they get a year. They've also scored a little better. They're picking up their score, but we still have a commanding lead. We've got to get ourselves consolidated and positioned for the upcoming storm. There'll be no avoiding it. It's going to happen. We just don't know when. And that's the beauty of the game. The cards really, they're a wonderful thing. It makes me very happy. I love card-driven mechanics. Really increases the playability of the game, or the replayability, I should say, of the game. But I think ultimately my understanding of this game is deep enough to see that, yeah, you know what, it's a whole lot easier to lose with the undo button, by the way, is wonderful. It's a whole lot easier to lose with the French than it is to win. And the cards make a world of difference. All right, we're going to send Bernadotte there to reinforce Napoleon, and we're going to add this year's recruits to so that his army is actually one of some reasonable consequence. We're also going to need to keep these armies. I'm going to have to work on that after this video, the next video, where I won't be, by God, commenting on my own video. We're going to have to position ourselves so that the armies can quickly reinforce each other, because it will be a bloody fight against armies that are qualitatively equal. The only advantage at that point that we have are the quality of our generals. And Napoleon is the only one that has a real, that and so, but mostly Napoleon has the most significant advantage. Other than that, we're going to be that, and we also will have some pretty decent having the guard and having some having that the guard artillery. Those are wonderful things, but our advantage was dramatic in the opening years, and now it's clearly degraded. Okay, we're going to cover the south of France because the British will land there and march on Paris if you don't have somebody nearby. Got to cover. I think that's going to get more and more difficult. We've got to cover central France once the British get themselves all healthy again. Okay, if I remember right, I did this backwards. Rather than take the few units out that I wanted, I took all the good units out that I wanted. I think that's pretty silly. Oh, look, there's the guy I'll keep. Okay, and when we combine, now I'm confused what I'm going to do. What am I going to do? And let's draw out the decent infantry, French line infantry. And yep, yeah, I'll do a quick count here. And consolidate a reasonable army, although it's still rather small. Oh, didn't like that for some reason. Okay, I liked it better the second time. And now let's go get what we need from the poor quality Allied troops. And I'm all clunky, probably counting cavalry right now. How many cavalry do I need? Oh, need one for sure. Right click, there we go. Bring some cavalry over. And wave my cursor around. Well, why would I click help? Yeah, I can see that I wasn't, thinking clearly may not have been my best thing this time. Yep, counting. Gotta count. Gotta count. We need infantry, even though they might be sad Allied infantry. We need infantry. And if we got some heavy cavalry in there, we use a heavy cavalry card. That'll be good for this army, but still. All right. Go ahead. Let's finish this up. Clearly, I need to move a little more decisively in these videos. Okay, we're going to take your cavalry. We're going to take your infantry. Having additional cavalry is good for scouting and pursuit. Of course, given the quality of this army, expecting it to beat an Austrian army and do anything is that's highly questionable. All right, we're still just all caught up in what we're going to do here, and let us check something here. Yep, we still got a little ways to go. And now what do? We keep. Oh, we're gonna send a leader off. If I could ever get him selected, because we've got to have somebody standing by in Paris to be able to move reinforcements. There's a cool card to let you call up a class early, so you get to do what we did here and get more troops. We need to have people available, a leader available to move those troops to the front. Okay, now we're trying to decide, where does Napoleon go? He's got a force march. And I think at this point I was discussing, well, if I put him in Baden, he can go all the way to Venice or Bohemia or to Saxony or to Milan. He can't get to Tyrol. Well, yes, he could, but it'd be through Bavaria. Switzerland sucks because the Alps between it and Tyrol just, you got to go around the corner. And if he goes too far south, he won't be able to move to the north. And the Austrians are basically, they have a central position on us now. They got inside lines. They can strike in whatever direction they wish, although I suspect the AI would be anxious to retake Bavaria and Tyrol, since that's part of their empire before we created the Kingdom of Bavaria, if I remember right. Um, so that's probably where the struggle will be with them, is them trying to reconstitute the Austrian Empire. And it means we're going to have to get two armies either together or very close together so that they can reinforce each other. I don't remember what I did here, but as I'm thinking about it, looking ahead, it's going to be very important that we have probably two armies together so that one can move forward with a force march, and the other one can move in behind and be ready to move in right afterwards to reinforce, to reconstitute really the army that strikes, which will probably be Napoleon's army. Okay, it's time for another turn. Now this concordat is what we take. Pause this. This is killer. One event card had 4 political points. I look at that and just went, oh my God. What that means is 2 more turns. 2 more turns with the Austrians not even considering going to war. And so there it is. See, they won again. They play a diplomatic overture. Oh, I missed. I wanted to read that card. That's fine. Basically, all right. Prussia is now neutral instead of friendly neutral, and Russia is now neutral instead of friendly neutral. They can be influenced. If there's anything about that that matters, let's pause this. Didn't change their diplomatic rating. So Spain is still a long ways from being, I mean, it takes 6 months of dedicated work on Spain or Russia to get them down where that card, the diplomatic overture, would give them even a 5% chance of going to war. Prussia is 2 turns away from being in that position, but Austria is there now. All right, and so we need to play, and I think I do, play the concordat to give me the points I need to shove them back up out of range of the card, of that diplomatic overture card. So that's what I think we go and do. That was really a timely. All right, now pause again. Drawing new event card. All right, every other turn you draw an event, and then you get them when you defeat nations or win a major battle. I don't remember exactly. If Russia's war with France, the Ottomans are not, the card may be played. That's, the French gains 9 new Ottoman units. Of course, they're crummy, and they disappear when Russia is defeated, but they get, Great Britain gets 3 political points. Not something we want to do just for hoots. All right, time to spend a little, time greasing up the Austrians, making them happy, explaining to them how they really don't want to fight. And now we've got to talk about that. Got to look at that. That could be useful if we end up in one of those situations where I don't see Russia declaring war anytime soon, unless there's a card, an allied card that I don't know. And I don't even know if you can look at the allied cards. Maybe in the rules. In fact, I think they are. I think the rules do tell you what allied cards have, and I just haven't studied them. But look at these armies. They're just awful. They're just awful. Let's pause for a minute. Ali Pasha. It's just gigantic thing. Lots of cavalry. I can't do that without upsetting the player. Lots of cavalry. Lots of infantry, not the first artillery. These armies would be slaughtered. At best, they're a distraction to the Russians if you really, really need them. All right, let's get ourselves set up here for reinforcements, which will be coming many turns away into 1809, unless we draw a card that lets us reinforce early. And things are looking pretty good. I don't remember what I do. I think I move him to Belgium. But as I'm thinking about future plans, I think he's going to need to just move into Baden. Well, he will if the Austrians make a play for going to war. In the meantime, I want to keep him back where he's more centrally located. So we'll see. That's what I'm thinking now. I've slept since I played this. I don't remember what I was thinking then. Okay, we still have an extraordinary advantage, and apparently they get points every turn for Portuguese independence. You don't want to step into Spain. I did that. Spain is a nightmare, and it's not because their armies are any good. It's because the Allies have cards that cause massive attrition on your armies. You step in with a nice big fat 20. They play a card, and you've got 16. It's just, oh, there goes a whole year's recruiting. Uh, so the Iberian Peninsula is a good place to stay the hell out of. Uh, and now the British are trying to consolidate and build an army. Knocking off that British army was critical. They'll build it back and they'll be a threat again, but right now that's not so. The Prussians have not done any military reforms, so they're not near as scary as Austria and the Russians are. I'm not sure whether they will or not. What do we do here? Do we just do a... we're happy with that situation. I think this is a good turn to consolidate the empire. Gains us 4 points, and the game moves on. Oh, what do I pick here? I don't recall. Let me just sit back and watch and just see what I decided to do. As I think about it now, good defensive terrain might be the card to take, but I bet you I took recruit in minor nations, which it's not like I have anybody available to go do that. Well, what did I do? I don't know. I just, as I think about it now, I think that defensive terrain was a good call, but I guess I've thought, okay, well, I'll go recruit in Bavaria or something. Oh, yeah, yeah. Could I be ready to move? Yeah, it's a long ways, isn't it? Oh, I don't know. I could recruit. As I look at what's happening here, it wouldn't be too hard to go to. We got a lot of peace left. We could go to Tyrol. Right now, it's not a good idea though. It's January, February, and moving causes attrition, and the French cannot afford attrition. I think I should have taken the good defensive terrain. Now, there you go. It's time to consolidate the empire, gain a few points, let the British have their way with the Austrians again. I'm pretty sure that'll happen soon. We're down to the last bit. January, February 1809. Yeah, we're down to less than a minute, so things are coming to an end here. We're finally wrapping this up. Not a lot left. Examining what's going on here and there. And I just don't recall whether I actually pressed the turn button or not. Otherwise, I think I'd pretty much call this video to a close. Nobody's going to move. Yep, we can. I mean, this is just an extraordinarily good political position. I have found myself in this game at war at this point with Austria and Spain uh, and Russia, where I just did not play the diplomatic game correctly. And I think what we're seeing here is, all right, the end of the video. I don't know if this action player thing, but there it is. Okay, well, hey, I appreciate you watching. I apologize for the technical difficulties and the necessity to have this after the fact commentary. It won't happen again. I know what happened. I can fix it. And I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you again soon. Hey, thanks for watching. If you click on that picture of very young Waz, you'll be subscribed so you'll never miss another video. Then click on that bell notification button, and please share and comment. See you again soon.